I'm Morgan Schlegel.
And I'm Joni Cabas.
And this is Tower News Network.
We have a great broadcast lined up for today, with events covering from the U.S. to the Ukraine.
Let's hand it over to Amy Hagenauer from Sochi, Russia and the Paralympics.
Thanks, Morgan and Joni. On the 23rd of February, as the Olympic Games celebrated their closing ceremonies, the next Games will kick off with their opening ceremonies on March 7th in Sochi, Russia. The Paralympics are the counterpart to the Olympic Games for athletes with a varying range of mental and physical disabilities. They made their summer debut in the 1960 Rome Games and their winter debut in the 1974 Sweden Games. Winter Paralympics have 5 sports and 7 disciplines. The sports are alpine skiing with para-snowboard, biathlon, cross-country skiing, sled hockey, and wheelchair curling. The Paralympic athletes are classified to minimize the impact of impairment for each sport, and every sport has their own specific guidelines for the different divisions within the events. There are 72 medals to be won, and Team USA is hoping for their 80 athletes to bring home the gold. And who are the Team USA athletes to look for in these games? Tatiana McFadden is the most decorated athlete on the team, with 10 medals for track and field. She is making her winter debut in Nordic skiing. 7-time Paralympian Allison Jones has been on every USA Paralympic team, summer and winter, since 2002. She has 7 medals in alpine skiing and cycling. A growing problem is that the Paralympics have received far less media coverage than the Olympic Games throughout the years, despite the inspiring theme of the human capacity to overcome even the most daunting of obstacles. The CEO of the International Paralympic Committee, Xavier Gonzalez, reflected on the impact that the Paralympics had on China after the Beijing Summer Games in 2008. Gonzalez stated that, in China, the Paralympic Games were really a transformation tool for changing attitudes across the board in China towards people with disability, to building accessible facilities in the city, to changing laws to allow people with a disability to be part of society. Let's hope that these amazing games will continue for a long time to come, not only for the equality of disabled athletes, but also for the impact they have on society and the ever-changing views of disabled persons. This has been Amy Hagenauer for TNN.
Now to Molly McLaughlin, covering the rising issues in the Ukraine.
Thanks, Morgan and Joni. Hi, I'm Molly McLaughlin, and this is Tower News Network. After months of protests in Ukraine, the world is taking notice of the many problems in this Eastern European country, and in good reason, due to the fact that these last few months have been the most tumultuous Ukraine has experienced in decades. The protests began in November when the Ukrainian president decided to back out of a trade partnership with the EU and Western Europe in exchange for stronger relations with Russia, the country that had previously led Ukraine as the Soviet Union. Eventually, the president fled to Russia, leaving an interim president to lead the country, though the previous president still claims he is the lawful leader of Ukraine. However, these issues don't only worry Ukraine, but the world. Russia feels a sense of responsibility to the Ukraine, having led the country as the Soviet Union, and because of the number of ethnic Russians and Russian speakers in the country. For this reason, Russia felt the need to be involved. Vladimir Putin called for a parliamentary approval of an invasion, and the votes were unanimously yes. Around the same time, soldiers bearing no insignia on their uniforms, though clearly Russian, invaded an area of Ukraine, Crimea. Crimea is an area of Ukraine which was transferred from Russia in 1954. The area and its people have always felt a special connection to Russia since, and were joyful when they were taken over by Russian forces. At this point, Crimea is working on a referendum to rejoin Russia. On top of all this discourse in Ukraine, this invasion caused even more tension. Many government buildings in the east, the area of Ukraine which has closer ties to Russia, have torn down the Ukrainian flag in exchange for the Russian one. The problems of this nation are under the watchful eye of the EU, the UN, and possibly even NATO, and only time will tell what will come as a result in the Ukraine. Thank you, and back to you, Morgan and Joni.
And this just in, we've received news from our source, Molly McLaughlin, that the Crimean people have voted to be absorbed by Russia.
Only time will tell how this situation turns out. Next, we will go to Brittany Green with the recap of the Oscars and the red carpet. Then we'll hear from Deaisha Moore with her own ideas of how to look red carpet ready for this year's Old Hollywood-themed prom.
Thank you, Morgan and Joni. I'm Brittany Green from Tower News Network. On March 2nd, all of America tuned in to watch the ever-awaited 86th Academy Awards show. Ellen DeGeneres captured all of the audience's attention with her hilarious comments that had all of America laughing. She also captured the best photo ever that got million retweets. Not only did Ellen DeGeneres capture Americans' attention, but America was in awe over Lupita Nyong'o's dress. The actress who ended up winning an Academy Award for Best Actress in Supporting Role in the movie 12 Years a Slave, which won the Best Picture award. Gravity was not only an amazing movie, but also had an amazing night at the Oscars, winning 7 Academy Awards. Matthew McConaughey had a successful night winning Best Actor in a leading role for the inspirational Dallas Buyers Club. The 86th Academy Award show was no disappointment, with amazing music performances by Betty Milder, Pink, U2, Idina Menzel, Pharrell Williams, Darlene Love, and finally Karen O. The Oscars definitely lived up to their expectations of amazement.
The biggest night for seniors and juniors. The most looked forward to night of the school year. The night you dreamt about when you were little. It's almost here. Prom 2014 is April 4th. The hardest time for girls is looking for a dress and sometimes finding the perfect date. And also, prom can be one costly night. And now as the countdown begins to the big event, you're left with a few options. Let's just add up some necessities. Dresses are about $200 to $500 depending on the alternations. Hair is about $100, especially if a girl wants a nice fancy do. A simple manicure averages about $25. Accessories for jewelry, clutches are about $30 to $50. And shoes to match the dress are about $50. A boutonniere for a guy is about $20. Corsage for the girls, $25. Tuxedo to rent one costs about $125. Dinner for two at a fine restaurant, $60 to $70 plus a tip. Limo ride most averages at a flat fee of $300. Rented tuxedos and limousines, dresses, dinner reservations, and corsages. It takes a lot to pull off a big night like this for guys and girls. We'll have to remember this forever. But what sort of memories will the prom of 2014 evoke in the minds of kids in the years to come? Prom. Some of us can look back at that special evening and recall fond memories of attempted romance, while others cringe remembering the epic fail it turned out to be. As prom approaches of 2014 quickly approach, it appears as though some will go great and some will go badly. And some will go down in history. Regardless, this year's prom will be the night of many kids' lives.
As America winds down from the Winter Olympics, the college basketball world is firing up for March Madness.
That's right, and with Selection Sunday fast approaching on March 16th, players and fans alike are gearing up for a year of stiff competition. There are a total of 68 teams for the men and 64 for the women.
32 teams will gain an automatic entry by winning their conference tournament, and the remaining teams will rely on the selection committee to award them an at-large bid, which will take place on Selection Sunday, at which time the final brackets and seeds for the tournament are released to the public.
Last year's Cinderella team, Florida Gulf Coast, was already knocked out of the competition over the weekend. After making it to the Sweet 16 last year, they became the true underdogs of March Madness.
Don't worry, though. There are plenty of teams looking forward to shock the college basketball world again this year, and a lot of widespread talent.
Strong teams to watch out for include Florida, Syracuse, Arizona, Kansas, Duke, Virginia, UNC, Louisville, and even our very own St. Louis Billikens. Each of these teams has been ranked highly all season and has the power and depth to go all the way with continued success. With little separation in the rankings, many predict this March Madness to be especially entertaining.
Also, according to ESPN, there are some smaller and overlooked teams to keep a close eye on as the tournament begins. And the pressure rises. If you plan on filling out a bracket, make sure you do your research and best of luck.
Thank you for watching this edition of Tower News Network. Be on the lookout for more broadcasts.
And up next, we have a list of events brought to you by Annie Federer. Thank you for watching. This has been Morgan Schlegel
And Joni Cabas.
Here are the upcoming events for Villa Duchesne. From Saturday, March 15th through Sunday, the 23rd, is our spring break. Then, on Wednesday, the 26th, is the junior retreat. The annual father-daughter dance is on Saturday, the 29th. The junior ring ceremony takes place on Tuesday, April 1st at 11 a.m. The senior alumni inductions and prom both take place on Friday, the 4th. On Thursday, April 10th, the sophomores will be on their retreat. And finally, from Thursday the 17th through Monday the 21st is our Easter break.